Hello and welcome to this edition of the Farrell Phelps Show. Our topic today is the things that are happening in our African American community, such as the Michael Brown killing, such as the Alfred Wright killing. These types of things. We're going to have a panel discussion in just a moment. I want you guys to stick around for this. All right? We'll see you back in just a moment. Hello and welcome to this edition of the Farrell Phelps Show. My guest today is Kenneth Grissom and George Phelps. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you. Now, what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring a couple of men on the show to talk about the things that are happening in our community, like the Michael Brown killing that just recently took place, the Alfred Wright killing that took place. There are so many cases like this that are happening with our African American men. And so I wanted to talk about it, and that's what we're here for. Now, this is all our opinions. Please keep that in mind as you watch this particular show. It's our particular thoughts and what we think. Now, I want to ask you, George, what did you feel when you first saw this case with Michael Brown in St. Louis?
Understand what's happening here in this suburb of St. Louis. It's a little more than 2 minutes. Watch and listen.
Man, they said he had his hands up and everything, man.
They was trying to get at him?
I don't know. I wasn't out here. I just heard the gunshot.
I heard the gunshots from Wall Stay all the way up there.
I knew something happened. It's too early in the day.
Who is the? Do he stay here?
No, it was his daddy right there, man. His daddy just tried to go around. They grabbed him. They in that black T-shirt police talking to him. And that's his auntie right there on the phone. And them screws. That's some loud. Yeah, boy. That's dirty. Dirty.
I saw the car.
Overkill, total overkill. I was outraged. I was mad. I was pissed. I saw me in him. So it just blew my mind. It just the stereotypes. I mean, how it happened, why he was chosen. Those are the things that come to my mind.
Okay. Now, when you mentioned the fact that you thought about yourself when you saw that particular situation, what was it about yourself that you were able to identify with when you saw that?
Well, because I've had some things in my past that may have been similar to his. I've done some things in my life, and sometimes I feel my past comes up today. They'll still look at me and they'll still, basically like typecast me and say, "Oh, he's like this. His attitude is gonna be like this. He's a larger black male." So they already feel intimidated when I approach them or when I'm in the car, when I get out the car. So I've dealt with a lot of that. I've had guns pulled on me. I felt more in fear of the law than in my own hood or community.
Wow. He just said he feels more in fear of the law than the people in your own community. And you know what? I don't think that's unusual, actually. Mm-hmm. And I think oftentimes we're more familiar with people in our communities, and the police officers a lot of times are like aliens to us in a lot of ways. And I think because we've seen so many negative things take place with police officers, that when we're apprehended in any kind of way, we're automatically on guard.
Exactly.
And sometimes that can really be like intimidation.
Exactly.
A lot of times that's what they do. Now, Ken, I wanted to ask you yourself, how did you feel about this particular case when you saw it unfolding in the news?
Well, I believe that there are good and bad people out there. I believe that a lot of times as black males we are mistakenly looked at differently. Mm-hmm. As George would say, typecast, so to speak.
Right.
We tend to only do certain things. That's what we're good for, whether it be basketball, football, making kids, having babies. Yeah. That's not true. I believe in that situation, they were both wrong. Mm-hmm. I believe that they, he should have not taken those cigarettes or whatever happened. And I believe the cops should not have shot him that many times.
Yeah.
I believe that we are a society that slowly we're going downhill. I believe that we all need to reevaluate ourselves. Mm-hmm. And understand that do not judge a book by its cover. We need to stop that.
Man, yeah.
You know, my hair,
Yeah.
my hair doesn't make me a bad person, nor does it make me an athlete. It doesn't make me an athlete. I've been called an athlete many times, which I don't know how to play basketball at all.
So you're not the stereotypical brother.
No, I'm educated, and unfortunately, that's not stereotypical. There are many stats out there. The FBI says blacks this, blacks that. It's not like that. I think we all need to stop judging a book by its cover and talk to the person and understand that we are all human. We all live the same way. We all die the same way. I have had good and bad experiences with police. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. Unfortunately, I don't get the benefit of the doubt myself.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the unfortunate part. A lot of times, I think when we have situations with police officers, they don't give us the benefit of a doubt.
No.
Now, I do understand that they have to be guarded to a certain degree. It is their job, rather, to serve and to protect. But sometimes those that they protect becomes their victims.
Of course.
As I see it. And I, too, have had situations with police officers that were very intimidating for me.
Of course.
And those officers happen to be Caucasian officers. So I've had my experiences as well. Now, one of the things that I say to everyone, and I definitely want to say this to young men, don't do things that will attract a police officer to come in your direction, first of all. Now, there are good, as Ken said, good and bad. You know, there's good cops, there's bad cops. I was talking to a police officer actually on yesterday, and he said there are police officers and then there are peace officers, those that try to make a difference. Now, a lot of times police officers can be some of them can be, and please understand what I'm saying when I say this. I'm not saying it across the board. I want you guys to get that. But you definitely have good cops and you have bad cops. And unfortunately, the bad cops are the ones we see in the news. Oftentimes, just like in our culture, the bad people are the ones you see in the news. But you don't see the people that are prospering, that are doing the right thing.
Going to college.
Exactly.
Becoming doctors.
There you go. And we need to see more of that. That needs to be showcased and highlighted more. And I know you guys can agree.
I definitely can. As I said before, I've never been arrested. There's a stat, so and so many black people have been arrested. That's not true either. I've never been handcuffed. I do not have a record. I am educated. I don't have kids that I don't know where they are. That is not. I am not stereotypical at all. I speak complete sentences.
Yeah.
It is. I am not stereotypical, and I would like to tell everybody that. Understand, do not judge a book by its cover. George has tattoos. Doesn't make him a bad person. Coolest guy I know. One of the coolest guys I know. Consequently, I have a white friend that's one of my best friends. Him and I go way back. Two totally opposite people, so to speak. But we're good friends, and I think we all just need to take it down a notch, if we can.
Yeah.
I think it's,
no,
you know.
And that's a very good point. That's a very valid point. Now, when we talk about situations that attract police officers and the situations that happen in the lives of a lot of African American men, what are possible things that, I'll ask you, George, you think that we can do to derail some of that type of thing or to deflect that type of attention from officers?
Well, being that the mentality of the urban black male is volatile and somewhat aggressive a lot of times, when they approach these kind of people, they automatically have a guard up. And because of that mentality, it makes it hard to change because they're brought up in that way. They father like that, they mother like that, their sisters like that. So truth be told, they're not going to change. We have to change the mindset of the whole family and the whole black culture and the urban culture, period. And I believe it starts mainly with hip-hop, the videos and how they're depicted, how young women are depicted, how black males are depicted. All that has to change. And if that doesn't change, if the forefront of that is still, you know, free-for-all, aggressive, volatile,
and that's what we'll see.
It's never gonna change. And I don't believe I'll see that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah. And you know, I have to agree with you. And so much, you know, when we talk about the media influence, is what I'll say. The media is very powerful, and they certainly influence our culture. And a lot of times we see the kids and the younger people emulating what they see in the music videos. So I think it might be helpful if the artists begin to have a conscious influence of what they are doing with society and what they're putting out there. Because again, a lot of times what they're showing in the videos is being depicted in real life, and that's the unfortunate part. And also, the family. We have to think about the family, because that's the genesis for all of this here. That's the beginning. That's where they get, kids initially get their influence. And a lot of times I think in our society today, parents are so young, they begin parenting at a young age, they are not skilled or equipped oftentimes. And so when their kids are growing up, they go out in society doing a lot of the things that cause trouble in their lives. That's just what I see. And I want us to continue to talk about that. I want to talk about the family structure too a little bit more when we come back in just a moment with more of the Farrell Phelps Show. You guys stick around.
Sky Trues, custom eyewear, has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of the Farrell Phelps Show. We're talking about the things that are happening in our communities with African American men. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Now, when we left off, we were talking about the family nucleus and a lot of things that need to take place in the family for the kids to go out into society to make a difference in the world. And oftentimes, they're not given that foundation at home to know the difference between right and wrong. What do you guys feel about that?
Well, being a product of a broken home, so to speak, I think having a father is extremely important. The balance between mother and father is always great. You know, the mother being a nurturer, the father being the tougher type person,
Provider,
and I think that helps. I myself grew up. My father wasn't there as much as he should have. I had people to step in to help me and guide me, even as we speak now, what a toolbox should be used for. I don't have a wrench, but I got a wrench because somebody suggested I get a wrench. How to do plumbing, how to spot different things throughout the house, like guys should know. So I believe it's important to have a father there. Moms can do the best they can.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's limits with mothers. You know,
yes.
Women cannot raise necessarily men. Now, they can raise their children, yes. But some things men have to be taught by other men.
Other men.
I feel. Yes. You know, that's just my personal
I would
take
agree.
on it.
I would agree. It does help when you have both parents.
Yeah.
It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of parents, yeah, I've seen a lot of kids that actually go out into the world emulating whatever it is that the parents did. Yes. Like if the dad was a hoodlum, a lot of times I see the son end up being a hoodlum. You know, we got to go back and start making changes in our communities. And another thing that really that bothers me is that when we see a young man killed in the community, and you see the rallies that are taking place, you see the looting taking place in these communities, But I'm wondering, how would the community benefit if the people in the community did the same type of rallying when brothers are killing brothers in the neighborhood, in the community, when we're taking our own lives in the community? If we had that same force behind us with all this rallying going on, if we had that in the community to try to change the mindset of the kids there, it might make a greater difference. But we're quick to jump on the bandwagon when we see someone of the Caucasian culture that's a police officer that killed one of our young men. Yeah, that was wrong. No mistakes about it. Wrong is wrong. However, that same type of fervor that you see with the rallying behind that situation, how would it be if we did the same thing in our communities to make a difference in the lives of the kids that are coming up? If we rallied around them, if we hit them with support, if we showed them love and showed them their value. Because a lot of times people act in certain ways because they don't see the value of who they actually are. If you don't know that you're the child of a king and that you deserve greater in your life, you operate in that way.
You're right.
You know, and I think a lot of times what happens in the communities, there's a sense of hopelessness that invades the minds of the young men. They feel hopeless in the situation and circumstances that they're in their own environment. And when you feel hopeless, you do hopeless things. You act out in that way. And that's the thing that we got to fix or try to fix. We could never fix everything, but we can try to make a dent in it at least. Do you guys agree?
Well, I agree. The additive, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I think you can change that. Because your dad had multiple kids, you don't have to do that. Because your dad was a gangbanger, you don't have to do that either.
Yeah.
You can do better. And there's not a parent around who doesn't want their child to do better than them.
Yeah.
You know, do better than me. You know, and whether the parent's around or not, the dad or the mom is around or not, do better than me. And I think that's part of being a parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And I totally agree. George, your thoughts?
I believe we can do better. It's just, like I say, it starts with the the family, the parenting, and then the community. But truth be told, they pump the fact that being non-intelligent or not savvy with things is cool. It's not cool to be certain kind of ways in an urban environment. And because of that, the labels and the music, they pump that negativity into the children because they want it to be, the black people going to jail, brown people going to jail. That's the agenda. That's the mass agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And once they have all those people at their lowest standards, they can rise above easily. They don't want to become equal. They don't want us to become like them. See, the urban black man wants to own a block. A white man wants to own the city.
Can you say that again?
It's two different things. What I'm saying is the urban man wants to own a block. The white man wants to own the city, the state, the country, the world. And it was already set up before we ever existed. They came over. They had the money. Money was converted. It was gold they had before.
Right.
They converted it to money by the Europeans. And once they came up with this mind state, they had everything set up for them to win, the white man to win. They don't care about our opinions. They don't care about how we act, how we look. None of that. They don't care about none of that. They want them to be in control. And they hold the money. They hold the keys. They own the banks. They're in control. So their propaganda and agenda is passed through. And that's not going to change until we start to own our own blocks, own our own cities, own our own banks, own our own hospitals. That's where it starts. We own nothing, so therefore we get nothing. That's why you go to some places and when you're in the hood, they make you go buy the cheapest foods, the cheapest milk, the cheapest ice cream. You can take some ice cream from Walmart, the best value, sit it on your table, and don't even melt. Look at what we eating. This is what they give us. They give us the lowest of low, and that's what we buy. We can afford that. So that's why we die off quicker. That's why we get the cancer. That's why we get all kind of stuff. My family's been affected by cancer tremendously. I'm just going into the root of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So these are why things are occurring like that. We can't afford it. We don't own anything. Nothing. No land. We barely get land. You know what I'm saying? So this whole 40 acres and a mule thing, only some people get that. And then if we can obtain it, we don't know about it. We don't go check on the land and see if we can own something. So, I mean, that's just how I see it.
So you feel if we can raise the social economic background of the African American culture, then a big difference would be made.
Huge. The world will change.
You know, I thought so much would change, and let me take, I didn't think so much would change, but I thought that the mindset of our African American culture or subculture would change once we had an African American president. But there was nothing magical about that. And I think a lot of people had the misconception that life would change. And it's 8 years later, and life did not change because we have an African American president. Life, it'll change when the mind changes. The mind is everything.
Exactly.
You know? And it's the things that go on in the mind that causes us to go out and do what we do when we have those feelings of hopelessness in our lives and in our communities. We're going to continue this dialogue in just a moment. You guys stick around. We're going to be back in just a moment.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
Hello and welcome back to this edition of the Farrell Phelps Show. We're talking about the African American culture and the things that are happening in our society particularly, and possible solutions to make it a better place, man. Because the things that are taking place now is just mind blowing, and it saddens me to see all the things that are happening with our culture. When you see a young man walking to a store and allegedly stealing cigars out of the store and you know, in front of the store owner, and again I'm saying allegedly, so please understand I am saying allegedly, that this kid did that based on the video, based on what I saw with my eyes in that video. And subsequently he ended up being killed by a police officer. I just want to say this: there are certain things that we can do to prevent certain things from happening. It's going to always be good and bad in the world, but don't do bad. Don't walk into a convenience store and take 2 sodas and sit them on the curbside and dare anyone to touch them. Don't go in there and steal a honey bun with your sodas and think it's okay. And then you're talking to the police officer, you're yelling at the police officer, telling them to kill you, kill me, you know? Now, I don't know if that guy had a mental issue, if he had something going on in his mind or not. But there are other people that have done similar things that did not have any type of mental issue. We got to just get a hold of ourselves, and we got to stop making these bad choices, you know? And once you make a bad choice, you cannot determine what your consequence will be. You don't know what it'll be. You know, you can go and burglarize a home or something, and you can go in there hoping that you don't get shot. But if you do, that was your consequence for breaking in that house. You can't go and break in a house and say, okay, I broke into the house, y'all. My punishment needs to be running around the block 20 times. No, you don't have a choice when you commit a crime, whatever that crime is. So think before you act is what I want to say. All right, that's what I want to say. Think before you act. While we're having this conversation, I do want to, because so often we see negative things in the media, and I'm really blessed to have these two great guys here on the panel today, two intelligent brothers that can easily be misjudged based on appearance. Kenneth Grissom has dreadlocks. I once had dreadlocks myself, and you know what was really ironic? When I had long hair going through the airport, I was always stopped. I mean, always stopped. It was like I went to the airport expecting to be stopped. It was the norm for me to get stopped. It happened every time I went. And then when I changed my appearance, of course, people interacted with me differently. That's something that I noticed. So we can't judge, like you said a minute ago, we can't judge the book by its cover. Next to Ken is George Golden Boy Phelps. George is a rapper here in the city of Houston. George has tattoos. He has that look. And it's easy for somebody to judge him or misjudge him based on what they see until they get the opportunity to speak with him and realize this is a sharp, intelligent brother. So we cannot judge based on what we see. And I have to say, Ken is a photographer. He has his own business. He's educated. These are people that are doing things, but when you look at us, you know, it's easy for us to be judged, man. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's easy for us to be judged. So we can't always, again, judge the book by its cover. Golden Boy actually has his own company that's called Sky Trues, that he designs eyewear with artwork on them, and it's very successful. All the rap artists are wearing his glasses. A lot of entertainers are wearing his glasses. It's basically sweeping the nation right now. But again, when you look at him, you may not see that. You may think you see a thug or this hardcore man, but this is a brother that got his own business. He's enterprising. So I like that. I like that. Now, I understand we have a couple of questions from the audience, and so let's go with the first question.
Do you guys think, I was just sitting here thinking, do you think that a lot of these killings for our black men is a direction towards our black president? Do you think that they're taking it out on our black men because they can't get to the president? I'm just curious, you know, do you think that's possible?
Me personally, I don't see them in their heads saying, okay, I see this black man, Obama's the president, let me be hard on him. Now I think some people are a little teed off about us having a black president, and so they feel like, oh, we see black people or whatever. But I think a lot of the times they just see the environment, they see the person, they automatically stereotype. He's a black male, he may have attitude, let me, do whatever I do to him, and then, things happen based off that. I know in my experiences, they were. I was accused of everything. You know what I'm saying? And so I could be not doing anything and still be accused. I could be simply just driving in my car. I could be simply, whatever. They've endangered my life on several occasions.
Right.
Left me stranded. I was on the freeway one time. The cop I was going to jail. He left me in the back of the car to go help another person who was dying on the freeway. So he left me in the car, parked parallel in the middle of a highway, 45 highway, with his lights off. And cars were passing by, zooming by. While I was in the back, and he didn't really care about my life at that point. He was just trying to help somebody else's life that, it was already, EMS on the scene. But he was wanting to be basically nosy and go and try to help me. He's just taking me to jail. That's all he was doing. And they don't care. They don't, I asked him about it. Hey, can you get me out the street? You're going to stay there till I come back 45 minutes later. So my point I'm trying to make is that they just don't care really about it. And I guess, black people, a lot of times, we don't value us. So they don't value us.
You know what? And that's real talk. And that goes back to what I was saying a minute ago, how in our own communities, we're killing each other off every day in large numbers. But nobody's out protesting that. The time you see somebody that's of the Caucasian persuasion that killed an African-American male, the world wants to jump on it. Let's take a look at what's happening right here at home, man. Because home is where all the stuff starts. Let's take a look at what's happening at home. I wanted to say something with the question that was posed to us. You asked if we felt that it was what's going on, if it was a derivative of us having a black president now and hate being bestowed upon us. I don't necessarily see that as being such. When I go back to the killings that happened with Martin Luther King's days, and the marches that had to take place during those days, before we ever had an African American president, and the things that have happened all the way up to this date prior to having an African American president, with all of us being killed off, shot up, and all this stuff by cops. So no, I don't think it's necessarily has anything to do with the president that we have today. It's just the mindset of the world that we live in. There's another question that someone had also.
Yes, I had a question that came to mind when you were speaking about the fact that it's popular or considered to be in to speak grammatically incorrect, and you know,
The lingo?
Yeah, the use of broken language, broken sentences, etc., being so popular among our young people. And George, as you being a rap artist, how do you think that you, as a person in that position, can help change what the youth are listening to, hearing, so that it can be looked upon that it's good to speak correct English, that that's something that they should strive to do, as opposed to speaking in grammatically incorrect.
Well, from that perspective, being that I'm not on a major label, when you're on a major label, the agenda in the urban market, it's to be urban, highly ghetto, highly, these are the things that are pushed to you. So that they have a kind of like they give you like a little booklet. These are things that we basically want you to talk about in your music if this is going to be your market.
Okay.
And so they make sure those things are put into that market. Being that I'm not on that label, I can control what I say. And being that I'm not a
you're an independent artist,
yeah,
right?
Independent artist, exactly. So I'm not a pop commercial artist, meaning I don't snap my fingers. I don't promote booty music. I don't promote twerk music. I promote real life. I can't water that down. So being that I have that platform, I think it should be more platform for rappers to speak and stand up for something in a positive manner. That's not given to us that much. Normally when it's rappers, they automatically say, oh, right, they don't know nothing. All they know is rap. Not true, you know. Exactly. So that's just how I feel about that. Good question.
And I guess that kind of goes back to judging a book by its cover.
Exactly.
When you think about that type of thing being said. And that's something that we have to be careful with. And I want you guys to walk away with that. Let that be a lesson today. Try not to judge the book by its cover. But also recognize the power that you have to change. Recognize the power that you have to make a difference in this world. You know, we have to look at those things. And we have a lot more power than we're giving ourselves credit for. You know, I would like to say to each one of you, go back into your community and reach out to someone that's younger than you and try to influence that person to follow the right path. You never know what can happen. And sometimes it just takes one person to step in to make a difference with the multitudes. And I think it's important that we recognize the power that we have as a single person, as an individual. You have a lot of power. Let's start to exercise that power. All right?
And before we go, I just want to say, shout out to Bun B. He's a rapper, UGK rapper. And he is a professor at Rice right now. And he has classes teaching
hip-hop culture,
hip-hop culture, yes, the hip-hop culture. And just the black man and just reasoning and not being so aggressive. And he comes from that background. So I want to shout him out. I mean, she was talking about rappers. So he is one rapper that I do know that is definitely standing up for the city and trying to take action through his actions and working hands-on with other races. And to be at Rice is just crazy anyway. To come from
And you know what? I think that's wonderful. And a lot of times it goes back to what we said a minute ago when we talked about judging a book by its cover. Knowing that the rap artist Bun B is a rapper, a lot of times people will associate negativity with that and not realizing that this guy is at Rice University teaching classes on that particular culture. as a professor at Rice University. So again, it goes back to what I said a moment ago. Don't judge the book by its cover. I hope you guys have enjoyed this edition of the Let's Talk About It Farrell Phelps Show as much as I did. For more information on the show, you can certainly reach me at Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. That's Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. Until next time, folks, we'll see you then.
This is about justice. This is about fairness. And America is going to have to come to terms with there's something wrong. That we have money to give military equipment to police forces, but we don't have money for training and money for public education and money to train our children. The policies of this country cannot go unchallenged. We cannot have aggressive policing of low-level crimes and can't deal with the higher level. Something strange that you can get all these guns into the hood, but you run around chasing folks selling Lucy cigarettes and walking in the middle of the street. There's something crazy about that kind of policing. Well, their policemen are human. Yes, they are. But they also have a different kind of commitment. Because once you put on that state badge and that gun that is state backed up, you cannot react like another citizen. You're supposed to be trained above that. And we should expect that in our community like they get it in any other community. No community in America would tolerate an 18-year-old boy laying in the street 4.5 hours, and we're not going to tolerate it either. Whatever happened, the value of this boy's life must be answered by somebody. What does God require of us? In 3 weeks, we saw Marlon Pinnock, a woman in Los Angeles, laid out on the freeway, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. A California highway patrolman hit her 15 times on video with no weapon in her hand, nothing, no threat to her. Right after that, a man, they said that he had Lucy cigarettes. And they put an illegal chokehold on him. Man videoed it 11 times. He said, I couldn't breathe. And the man, a policeman, wouldn't let him go. Later that week, we see Michael laying on the ground. America, it's time to deal with policing. We are not the haters, we're the healers. I sat up in the hotel and took out my Bible. And I turned to the end of the book. Yeah. I don't know how long the investigation will be. I don't know how long the journey will be. But I know how this story gonna end. The first will be last. The last will be first. The lion and the lamb gonna lay down together, and God will make a way for his children. I've been to the end of the book. Justice is gonna come. Justice is gonna come. Justice gonna come.